All right. Hello, everyone. 6 o'clock, just after 6 o'clock, actually, on this alert day. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Hello, everyone, on this Sunday. It's been already a wild day, right, with round number one. Severe weather that we had moved to the area. Now we are gearing up for round number two that's coming our way. Now, that's at least better than what it originally looked like, which was 3 rounds. So we're able to avoid the middle one. That one came through very close to the first one, scooted across southern Kentucky. So that's good. But still, we got to deal with what's happening as we head into later on tonight. You guys can comment on our social media page. If you're watching on the stream and you're not going to be able to comment, you're not going to see some of the comments I'm referring to. But if you're able to, on whether it's Twitter or on Facebook, YouTube, I can't see your comments on Twitch, although we are streaming on Twitch if you're able to watch that. Some of you may be gaming. So if you are and you're locked in playing, was it the new season of Fortnite? Is that at? All right, there you go. So you can take a moment. And I'm sure there's so many young gamers out there that are ready to watch a weather update. But anyway, it's ready to go. Okay, so, and a good point coming in from Kim, too, by the way, that she's watching this because the sun or the power went out. So you're able to watch only on Facebook. So this is another reason why that, and the idea, of course, Indy 500 is ongoing. They made it at least onto the track. Storms are trying to build back into that area here soon, but they only have to get to the 101 to officially call it there for the race. But we'll keep you updated on that. But again, that will likely go, I would say, well, they got to go up to sunset. So they've got another 2, maybe 3 hours to work with here. So I think they'll be okay. But there are some storms, and I'll show you the update there in case you guys are wondering. All right. So you're asking, I'm sure already, what is the game plan as we head into the rest of this evening? Let's get right to it. I'm going to walk you through this step by step. I am going to ask, because I'm sure a lot of you are going to have a lot of questions about how this is going to play out tonight, as you should. A lot of specifics. I may be answering all those as I go through my speech here. So just as I always try to say, be patient with me. Let me get through all of it. And when I say at that point, did I not cover everything, then please ask away. Those of you who've been on the blog many times know how this kind of goes, right? Okay, so as you guys probably have heard, Gazebo Fest decided to cancel the performance, including Jack's, for the rest of tonight, mainly because of the idea of this second round moving in before they would be able to complete. Certainly, even Jack's performance tonight, we would likely already have storms rolling back in. At that point, they would be moving in fairly quick, and it would be a little more of a challenge to try to get people out of the way versus today. It was an issue of just not opening the gates. So therefore, there wasn't as much shifting around of people as you would have if you filled everyone up, then try to move them all. It'd be a much more of a safety hazard. So totally understand why they did it. I think that, it's unfortunate, but I think it would be a better time if they were able to do this again when we didn't have a threat of severe weather lingering over everyone's mind and made a lot of folks anxious. So I hate that. I really do. But I just want everyone to be safe, because we already know that we already had one person in the area that lost their life today due to a tree that fell today. So the tree damage has been unreal. That's still being assessed. We still got our crews out there assessing right now what has been happening. So I'll show you some of the damage reports in a second. Yes, a lot of you are asking. The sun's out. It's beautiful out there right now. This is not good, right? You're right. It's not good. Even though it is 6 in the afternoon, normally sun's that late in the day would not do a whole lot. But in this type of setup, any amount would cause problems. And to be honest with you, even if we didn't get much at all, it's still this low-level jet kicking in tonight would still be able to destabilize and allow us to still have a severe weather event tonight. But the idea that the sun is coming out only just makes the whole idea worse. So that's the reason why things got ramped up for tonight's outlook. We're 76 now. We were in the 60s all day today because of the rain. So now we're in the 70s. Some spots already closing in on 80 outside. The dew point, it's been up there all day, of course. Still up there, especially two areas just the west of us where we've got upper 60s to around 70 for a dew point. Very muggy air. This is leading to the flash flooding concerns that have already been ongoing for several days. And certainly, I think will be one of the bigger issues will be the severe weather or the flash flooding potential we're going to see. There's going to be a lot of training, but this time around, in every weather element I'm going to explain to you in the next few minutes when it comes to damaging winds, flash flooding, and potential tornadoes, we're in the darkest of night when this next round moves in. So we do not have the advantage of our SkyTrack cameras really to see anything. Storm spotters, got to take that out of the equation. So it makes it difficult. Everything is now going to be a lot of it's going to be based on radar and reports from emergency management and law enforcement that's out on the roadways. Some of that could be delayed reports. More importantly, if you're working second or third shift on this holiday weekend, you're not going to be able to see if there's a tree down like we've got in the area now. These trees laying across the road. You won't be able to see them in the pouring rain outside. And certainly if the road is flooded, same ordeal. And I can be able to tell how deep that water is. So please be careful tonight, because while we are looking at severe weather elements coming back into play, we're adding in an extra layer of problems. And that is just going to be that visibility is going to be an issue. Okay, so at least want to mention that on my safety stuff as much as I can. All right, first off, there's nothing happening as far as storms now. There's a couple of showers in the far south. That's still really the tail of what was the boundary that came through earlier today. But we've had a lot of sinking air that has moved in that has allowed for the sun to begin to shine and allow for that warming process for us. Okay, let me show you the radar loop. This is going back to 6 o'clock this morning. This is when the storms were producing tornadoes into southern Missouri. They were moving toward Mayfield, Kentucky, had a tornado on the ground for a while. Here we go at 10 o'clock. That line moved in. You can see that intensity of that line. And then that apex pushed northeast into Louisville and became one big Boeing segment that just continued to eat away at all that available moisture and fuel all the way into West Virginia and Ohio, where it is still ongoing. Now I'm going to run it again, but this time I'm going to run it with the damage reports as they were coming in. And you'll be able to see how quickly we went from, some reports of tornadoes, but the reports started to really pile in more on the wind damage idea. Once the storm was pushed into West Kentucky, the wind damage reports really started to light up. They should light up there. Not sure why they didn't. Hold on, let me try this again. There they are. You can see how many there were. I'll loop it back around so you can see again, but it literally followed right along that apex. Some may be asking already, was this shade ratio? Which shade ratio is a long severe thunderstorm wind event. And there's a loose definition on this. Roughly is about 240 miles of severe thunderstorm winds, which is about 58 miles per hour. I think we've got the 240 miles per hour or 240 miles in coverage, I think, covered. I don't know if we had that wind gust the entire time, but it may be classified as that. It wouldn't surprise me. So we'll let you know. It's not here or there, but just at least want to mention for those that are weather junkies out there about this event, because we don't see this very often. And certainly with the leaves on the trees now, we've got a very wet ground. Tree damage was going to be extensive. We knew that. But now we've really waterlogged the ground. And now additional winds to the same speeds we had earlier is only going to cause more tree damage. And let me make sure you all say I'm frozen. Uh-oh, I'm frozen. Okay, am I back? I think I'm back. Okay. I'm not sure what happened there. Let me know. I'll move so you guys know that I'm not frozen. Everyone see me? All right, thank you. There's a bit of a delay, so it's kind of frustrating because I could tell that I froze up, but you guys don't have a chance to react to it for like a good 1 minute after. All right, sorry about that. There's a lot of you on here. You're overloading the system. We can't handle all of you, so we don't have a chance to meet like this. I hate that we have to meet like this, but still. All right, I'll be back. Everyone says we're good. All right. It may freeze up at times, and again, it's just because there's so many of you on here, so I apologize, but I'll try to keep paying attention to it. All right, as I mentioned, the sun came back out. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. We've got a mostly sunny sky there across the area. Now, here is where the storms are breaking out rapid. Look how fast this took place. They didn't have a cloud in the sky into Illinois and Missouri earlier today. Boy, they have really filled in rapidly. And you're looking at that line, and you're like, wow, that line is with it some that, again, already have been severe. But it's what hasn't formed yet that is concerning me. And what I'm referring to is right here. You see a little bit, we call it a bit of an agitated cumulus field, but it's developing right into Western Kentucky and just west of Louisville. That is the spot that concerns me, that I think we're going to get supercells that are going to form right through here ahead of this line. And that is going to happen here in the next 2 to 3 hours. Now, once those get going, the line itself is going to travel a bit faster than these supercells will. So eventually there's going to be a collision course. They'll all meet up. We're thinking as the cells move east and the line moves east, the time it would take for them to merge into one big solid line would be roughly 10 to 11 o'clock. And at that point, they should be in the heart of wave country. At that point, we should be talking about a straight line wind event with an isolated tornado or two that could be embedded in some of the wiggles of the line. So the worst of the tornadoes, as far as your large tornadoes that can form and touch down, is going to be in that initial phase right here when they first pop. So we're fortunate on that side, the way it looks now, that we won't have to deal with that. Unfortunately, our friends and family in that area will. So if you know anyone in West Kentucky, Southwest Indiana, Southern Illinois, and west areas of Tennessee, give them a call. Let them know. Say, hey, this is, I know it's nice out there now, but this could get really bad for you tonight. So make sure they're fully aware. And even for us, after it congels, the two ideas come together. Still, as we've seen today, straight line wind is something you just don't want to mess with. It can cause more problems in many cases, especially in terms of real estate coverage on wind damage. Ricky asking, is that me counting and part of the circle? I just kind of loosely drew it here. I'll show you a closer view of what I'm referring to. I just wanted to give you a general idea of my drawings of the storyline. Okay, so to prepare for all this, here is the fuel that I'm watching. Notice we lost the fuel from the rain and storms earlier. Boy, look at the big gap that formed right here in the middle of Kentucky after the rain cooled air. But boy, it's been replaced. Just like that, we were able to fill it right back in again with strong to, in some cases, extreme instability. There is your tornado watch that is out. This is a PDS tornado watch, particularly dangerous situation. Don't see those often, and I think it may be the first one this season in our area. I think I could be wrong. It's not officially in wave country. We're not under any watches or warnings yet, but that is near where the moderate risk is, and I'll show you that in a second. My thinking on this is these cells go on. I mean, we're not going to get through this evening without a watch. We're not. We're going to get a watch. Okay, so the watch, I just don't know what type it'll be. If they'll issue it like another PDS tornado watch here, and then a regular one that'll be a little more to the east. Or will they just draw an entire big new box, something like that, that'll come out? I don't think it really matters. We're all about warnings at this point, right? Just tracking the warnings and the storms. The watches are bringing awareness that storms are on the way. I think you guys know storms are on the way. So again, I don't want to spend too much time talking about watches and even outlooks because these really don't matter as much as well. But at least want to show you because someone's going to ask. There's the moderate risk. It's out. For mainly the tornado potential is the reason why that upgrade. The rest of us, and all of us actually, are in the enhanced risk. No one is in the moderate, but a good chunk of you watching are in the hatched area in tornadoes. What does that mean? Well, that means there is a chance of a significant tornado, and significant is EF2 on a scale of up to 5, EF2 or stronger, within 25 miles of any point in our viewing area. The percentage of that right now is at 10%. But of that 10%, anything that forms can, again, get to EF2 or more intense on the strength. So while it's not a very high chance of tornadoes, it just basically means that any tornado that forms could be a strong one. So it's kind of it's telling two storylines here with one map. If that makes sense. Worst of it again will be right where those supercells ahead of the line form back to areas of Western Kentucky. Look at your straight line wind potential. We put it as 58 because that's the definition of what they go by. But you got to keep in mind, we're likely looking at 75 to up to 80 mile per hour winds again that will accompany some of this line that once it gets congealed together. Right now, they're thinking the apex of that, and I know the reason why. It's one particular model that's showing this, is aiming more into central and southern Kentucky for that round, but even into Louisville, we still have that high potential to get some damaging winds of about 30%. And you're damaging hail. Not as worried about the hail. We haven't seen much reports of hail today at all because this has been such a saturated type of setup and heavy rain and damaging winds, but we haven't had a lot of supercells, and that's usually we get most of your hail potential will be in individual cells, and that's the reason why that threat's going to be a little more west. So that's breaking down all your threats. So here's the other issue we got to watch, and that is the flood watch that is out, and that encompasses a good chunk of the Ohio and Mississippi Valley, as we're dealing with quite a bit of rainfall as of late. We're going to be talking about another 4 to maybe 5 inches of rain coming our way as we head into parts of Kentucky tonight. That's certainly possible with multiple rounds. So again, you see the brighter green is all the different rivers that are at flood warning status. And there are several right now across Kentucky, but I got a feeling this is going to really light up once these bad boys move through here. All right, so here's the threats on the chart side. Tornado threat is up there. It's been elevated. The wind is higher and perhaps one of the highest. Hail is not as high. And obviously the flash flooding and flooding in general is up there as well. So by looking at this, the damaging wind straight line, just like we saw later today, and the flooding are the top two, and tornado will be in second or third place in how this is going to range. All right, so what I'm going to show you, there's several different models that I can show you. It's hard to really show a lot of them this close to the event, but I do think this one tells a story on. This is going to be the high-res NAM. And the NAM, I think, has a better handle on the story tonight than the HUR isn't bad. It really isn't. But I think the NAM also tells a good storyline, too. So what it shows is the few of the downpours in southern Kentucky and all the action in Illinois at 6 o'clock. Well, we saw that. That seems to be verifying fairly well. We advance this. Now we get to 9 o'clock. And by 9 o'clock, now we've got the supercells, several of them, tracking across West Kentucky. And there's part of the line that was in Illinois already moving into Evansville, Jasper, Indiana. Again, in Louisville at 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I doubt we'll see much right at that point happening. But, boy, it'll be close. We should already be in warning mode by the time we get to about 9 o'clock with cells moving into our west. And, again, it's going to be two different things happening. We're going to have supercells in our far western edge of our counties, and we're going to have a line that's going to be forming too, dropping in at the same time. Both, again, will try their best to merge together. This is where everything gets a little murky and messy. You get to the 10 o'clock hour, we get to the 11 o'clock news, and now we really sort of see everything kind of coming together. But we got several different pieces we're watching between a line and embedded supercells up and down Indiana and 65. This is 11:30 snapshot. I think if there's a window, especially in Louisville, but really anywhere along I-65, that's the window to watch, will be in the 11 o'clock hour. And then after 11 p.m., if you're east of 65 or really even south and east of the Louisville area, that will be your main threat, but it'll begin to weaken. You guys to the east of 65 are not getting as much time of sunshine as what we're getting further to the west, and therefore you're getting some recovery, and these storms will be able to hold the momentum, especially in straight line winds, for a bit longer than the model shows. But you should see a weakening trend with that once we get overnight, and then finally we're done. And we're done. We have a chance to relax. So let me give you the timing, and again, a little more of a window on this. And again, it's going to be spiking there as we get into the 11 o'clock news to midnight, and then easing down after that. I know you're going to ask, well, what about, Meade County? What about, E-Town area? What about Jefferson County, Indiana? Easiest way I can explain this is if you're west of 65, you'll be first. You'll be first to get the warnings. And you're going to be in that 8 to 11 window to experience the first round. Here in Louisville, again, near the 11 o'clock news tonight, roughly. Sometimes they move faster than we can account for, but that's fair time I can throw out at you right now is 11 o'clock. I think we'll be active. And if you're east of 65, most of your stormy action is going to be more after the midnight hour to about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around there. That's the easiest way I can explain locations to you all. Otherwise, I really can't get specific because they're coming not exactly along the interstate. They're coming at us at a bit of an angle, so that kind of skews the timing a bit. But at least want to give you some idea on numbers. So what questions, and I'm going to start with the most recent because I'm assuming I probably have answered most of them, of what I can explain. All right, let's see. Debbie, Amy, you're getting 85 commercials right now. Let's see. Oh, probably the Indy 500 race there. Yeah, we don't have no control over that stuff, just so you know. Yeah, Marion County, Wanda, Marion County doesn't have any sirens right now. Sure, and there's somewhere else that something was damaged today, and the sirens are not working. That's why, again, we tell you they're not controlled by the Weather Service. They're really just maintained by city or county government. So they're not always in the same shape. They don't have the most recent updates by location. No one really keeps an eye on them federally, so they're kind of just scattered about. And different rules apply to different communities and when the button's hit. So that's why we say, they're great. Don't get me wrong. We all grew up listening to those things go off. They're eerie sounding anyway, but you can't really rely on them for a definitive way of knowing what's going on because of those faults I just explained and laid out for you guys. Getting notified by the NOAA Weather Radio, by the Wave Weather app. Hopefully you got those notifications today. All those are instant. Our notifications we're sending to you guys. There's a lens alert you can do for Louisville. You can sign up for. There's multiple ways. And obviously, if we saw another tag on the storms like we had today, which was destructive, once the winds get to 80 miles per hour and it's listed as destructive, then all the cell phone companies all agree. At that point, all the phones are alerted with an emergency message that came out. Most of you probably got that if you were in that warning today. That's the reason why 80 is the limit on that. So once the Weather Service puts 80 on a warning, that automatically triggers that emergency alert to your phone, no matter what you are doing. I hope we don't see that again, but that's the reason why. Okay. Jason, do you believe that Louisville could get a supercell? Jason, it's possible. Right now, timing is on our side. Let's take a look at this a little closer here because I did kind of go by the radar fairly quick. Let me bring this up a little closer view. Keep in mind, hold on one second. Let me zoom in and let me put on the warnings. Man, this is so small. You guys, I wish I can show you all how small this monitor is that I'm looking at. Let me get rid of the satellite because I think that's too much to look at. Okay, there we go. So here are the warnings. Look at that. Every single raindrop, it seems like, in Illinois, Missouri has got a warning. All right, so every storm has got something. So everything is causing a problem out there. So I'm sure, too, at the same time, not a single Weather Service office is going to take a chance on this. The amount of low-level jet that is ramping up, it's ramping up right through this spot, right through here. The jet tonight is ramping up as I'm talking to you all, and it'll get stronger between now and midnight. And as these storms just kind of drift and glide into that environment, they get a tailpipe to them. And when thunderstorms get a tailpipe to them, they can go on and on and on for a while and produce damaging weather. It's when they don't have that tailpipe that they have a limit to them and they begin to collapse. That is not the case tonight. They certainly have that amount of lift and they're ready to go. So the question, Jason, will be whether or not some of these cells that form, again, they haven't really formed in the area that I think we need to watch. They're right here. If they're going to be anywhere, and let me get this warning off of here. It's kind of distracting, right? Hold on one second. All right, there we go. They're little specks right now on the radar, but this is what we're watching. These right here should grow into supercells again in the next 2 hours. They will try to drift quickly to the east, but remember, this line is going to be heading southbound very, very soon, and will eventually catch up to it and push it down into Tennessee, creating more of a high wind threat type of scenario. So that does help. But there is a chance, Jason. I wouldn't rule it out, but right now I'm thinking it's going to be a little more likely for Paducah, unfortunately, around Mayfield, Kentucky, West Tennessee, Evansville, may be in that zone as well. But even when they combine together, I'm telling you, when they combine together, you get another straight line wind event. I mean, just like we saw today, there's not really a pretty picture either way. I get tornadoes get scary, mainly because of their look. Damage you wind threat, you can't really see it, other than the sound it makes outside and the trees bending over. But a tornado event, not to mention it's very strong, but it's such a visual thing. People see those a little differently there. Eddie saying we got to observe tornado on the ground near Houston, Missouri. All right. Appreciate that. Yeah, that will likely be the warning that you see right here. That is, I believe this is the one that's going to be lit up. Actually, there's a couple cells. Look at the hook on that one there that is showing up. Both are definitive hooks, actually. And that is not far from Morris, Missouri. This is Waynesville area. Let me kind of back up. Saw another one. Okay, there's one near St. Louis at the moment as well. Both, I mean, they all are supercells. This is not a squall line, I should say. These are all supercells in a line, kind of marching along together. But this is the one I think right now it's got to be one to really watch, because that is quite the hook echo on it, moving due east. Again, I think these are all going to fill in here very, very soon. These little green specks that I showed you a second ago, these should be even more supercells riding through here. They're going to pop very, very soon. This is going to be pretty wild to see. I mean, this is all going to happen so fast in the next few hours. That's a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, it's going to run through here quick. You don't have to worry about this, for 10 hours at a time here, but for the next 6 hours or so, at least, it is going to be a bit rough on tracking these through here. Let's see. What was your question, Andy? Do you believe that most people in wave country will see severe weather tonight, or will be hit or miss? I think most in wave country will see severe weather tonight. I do think there will be a fading trend for those of you east of 65 versus west. So it's fair to say if that applies on hit or miss, that's where the hit or miss would be, is a gradual weakening. But I'm telling you guys, this boundary's got to get through here. And it's going to be very difficult for it to come through without causing warnings. Very, very difficult. So I think it's going to be a problem for a while. The only thing that I think would be a saving grace here is we try to get these cells to form faster than what they're trying to do. And they would quickly merge together. And that would, once they merge, that southeast push accelerates. And if we can get them to merge faster, then that would push the apex of the line a little more on the southwest side of Louisville into Bowling Green and Nashville, and may help those of you around Louisville and Northeast from getting into the really nasty stuff. That could happen, yes. That would, I guess, sort of be a miss, but still someone gets hit with this and is not good. So it's going to be hard for that whole blob to avoid us altogether, but there may be certain areas that get worse than other areas. Lisa, tornado watch for Hodgenville. No tornado watch yet for anywhere within wave country. I think they're going to wait just a little bit longer here, but it should come out. I don't see how we're going to get away from having to watch in warnings tonight. So you can see there's the cells, again, all forming right there across Illinois, Missouri. Again, this is the actual front. Once we get past this, we do improve for tomorrow, which is good for Memorial Day, but we got to get through this first. And I'm hoping this is the last for a while, because this has been a long season, but certainly a long period this one has been in. Anonymous, this is going to be is going to get harder than the first round. Well, it's going to be a little different, Anonymous, because we're going to have the potential for a mix of tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings this time. This morning was just a wall of straight line wind, and the storms came from the southwest. These storms are becoming a little more from the northwest. So this presents a whole other issue with our trees. Trees are used to mainly getting strong wind damage reports coming in from like a southwest, sometimes a west direction. Most of the tree line that we got here into our area, that's the most common. When you shift around like that, though, you get a strong push of wind that we had today from nearly the southwest to northeast angle. The ones this evening will likely be a little more of a northwest to southeast. That will cause some of the trees to shift a bit more. So sometimes you can increase the damage potential, especially in a very short window of that push that the tree has felt for the day and with the soggy ground. So the wind doesn't really have to get to the same levels we had earlier today and can still cause damage, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know if it'll be worse, but I do think that I do think some tree damage certainly can take place. Let's see. Jonathan, would this be more of a straight line wind threat than tornado? Yes. More straight line for our area. All these tornado warnings fully expected. These are going to be the tornado zone for here for a while. Really, it's going to shift a little more into West Kentucky and West Tennessee. So this is the spot to watch. And it really, and I know you're like, what are you drawing? Are you drawing my county or not? When I'm drawing this, I'm really trying not to draw anyone in wave country on purpose. I'm trying to imply it's just west of us, because I think at that point, this should be mainly a line that moves in. But you got to remember, and I say this a lot on the air during severe weather, when you get a squall line that wiggles like this, anytime you get into the apex of the bow where it bows out, that is where you're getting rotation. So you can get tornado warnings embedded not only in that line, but you can also in the actual bow itself, right on the leading edge of the bow, you can also get a quick spin up. So you can still get tornado warnings along a line like we'll have tonight. Straight line winds will be the main threat, but I still think we got to watch for the wiggles. We saw one of those that was very evident for a while today. That was Hopkinsville. Showed up on the radar like that as well. And it dissipated as it was approaching Bowling Green, thank goodness. But it was close. It was close. Matthew, who is out with you in the Weather Center tonight. Ryan Hoke will be with me. He's getting a little bit of rest right now, getting some food in the belly before we get ready for the next round. Let's see. I think everyone is in fairly good understanding of the timing. I know some of you are still asking specific questions, and I can't really ask that because it's all going to vary. And when I'm saying a bunch of times, I'm telling you, everyone else that's listening, it actually gets confusing, because I was listening to our coverage and trying to help out from where I was at home earlier today, and I'm telling you, you get a lot of times. It's a lot for your brain to take in as you're just listening. So I don't want to get bogged down with too much. I just want everyone to be ready. Be ready by 8 o'clock, prepare for the 11 o'clock hour, and hopefully we'll get some sleep by 3 a.m. That's the 3 different waves I think emotionally we're going to go through as we get into tonight. Indianapolis, by the way, let me show you that. Make sure I got the right radar on, and I do. So far, this is not built all the way into Indy. It's trying. That's where the boundary is right there near the track itself. But so far, the eastern side of that has been struggling. So I'm hoping that will stay that way. So far, that seems to be what a lot of the data has been showing, but it could get close. But I think their biggest challenge right now is just getting before sunset. So time for Shelbyville. All right, same storyline. We're all going to be, again, it's going to be after 8 o'clock, spiking right around the 11 o'clock midnight period and calming down after that. That's going to be your same roller coaster ride you're going to have today or tonight. Cameron, we have the southwest wind coming in at 850, low level jets kicking in from the west soon. What does that mean for the tornadoes? It just mainly means the threat is there. It enhances the threat, and not even more than what has already been found. It has been the one item we've seen all week long has been this low level jet for tonight. We've been picking out this last round, and all the data we've looked at, this is the round that has stood out the most because this is the main front, and the low level jet is strong enough to certainly allow for a significant severe weather setup. So it's the one that we had earlier today. We just didn't know for sure how those would play out and how they would bounce off each other. But now we're past that. So now we're focused just on this one event. So the low level jet is no surprise, has been fully expected for days. So that is on track. All this is doing is just verifying. It's I know the moderate risk is out. If we knew that we were going to get into a sunny setup this afternoon, they would have thrown the moderate out already for this event for tonight. But we can't really do that when you have a busy radar ahead of all this. It gets really confusing to those of you at home when you go from an outlook has moderate and you may not have gotten to that level yet until later in the day. It gets confusing. I think SBC did it right on just kind of upgrading us as the event goes along. I think it's a lot easier for you all too. So no complaints from me on that. Anyway, not anyone was asking, but there you go. Is a concern for straight line wind versus tornadoes? Yes, that is still the main concern. Tornado potential will be there. Melissa, please mention the trail sirens in Leavenworth are not working. Yep, I'm aware of that. So is our newsroom. I don't have any control over that one. I believe, if I remember right, I think it was damaged in a previous storm that we had. That's the reason why it's not working. Again, don't rely on those. I know they're eerie, and we grew up thinking, that's what you got to go by, but you really don't. You really don't. Okay, it's 6:34. I want at least, because I know we had originally scheduled to have a newscast on, but now that the Indy was delayed, we're now into the Indy 500. So I want to make sure that you all had at least some idea what was going on, especially those of you without power, on where do we stand on this event. All I can really tell you at this point is that we're another wait and see setup here for the next few hours. We have a moment now to take a breather for us to not only hopefully been out there trying to check out your yard, make sure everything's okay, get everything secured once again tonight. If you don't have to travel tonight, I know it's a holiday weekend. I wouldn't. Just stay at home. Pop some popcorn. Watch a Marvel movie. I don't know. Do something, kind of chill out. Wait until we get the alerts that are coming out. We'll notify you on the Wave Weather app, and then at that point, check in and see what's going on, and we'll let you know. This is going to take a bit of time to get organized. At the same time, it's going to happen fast. I mean, it's 6:36, and I'm talking about a 8 to 10 window. We're going to start getting cells popping in the Western County, so it's going to happen fast. So you don't have too much of a time to relax, but you have time to enjoy a nice little supper. So if you have a moment to do that, do so, and spend some time with your family there, and then kind of huddle up and watch the storms roll through tonight. Casey, this might be a dumb question. There's never a dumb question. Well, there's a few, but you're not asking one. Very strong straight line of winds. Do you need to be in your safe space? Yep, you do. Yes, there's a little bit of a difference in how tornadoes do damage to homes, especially their structures. But the same rules apply. You just don't want to you want to be away from the tallest level in a home. So get the lowest level is number one. Get it into the interior, because you just don't want to be around an exterior wall at all whatsoever, and you want to be away from windows. So the same rules basically apply in your safe space. A straight line winds, same as a tornado. So very good question, actually, Casey. So thank you for asking. Joshua, can it be a strong or violent tornado? At the most, BR/. You type like I do, Josh. All right. They could be strong to violent, but they would be not here. I don't see that happening here right now. I think that strong to violent in tornadoes like this is going to be in their first 2 hours of their lifespan, and they've just been born. So the next 2 hours, that's going to be the rough part, is when they really start to mature and become a problem. Again, we're going to get the line version of this, at least congealing to a line. The only place I would say that we just need to watch for some wiggle room here in case something goes wrong is if you are in, Lawrence County, Du Bois, Perry County, Breckenridge, Grayson, and I even throw Hart. If you're right in this particular zone, just on our western fringes here of wave country, just pay extra attention. You may not be fully out of the supercell mold yet when this is trying to get into a line. So therefore, you could still have tornado warnings, and it could still be a few strong tornadoes too that may be in the mix. So if you're in that zone just west of us in our western counties, I can't say for sure you won't be out of that territory yet. But you will see everything change. As you look at the radar loop later on this evening, you'll see everything congeal into a line. And again, it's going to look like I drew. It's going to have this weird looking S shape or a weird wiggle to it. This is what it'll look like in about 4 or 5 hours from now. And then that will just race to the south and east, producing wind damage all along its path. It's going to be massive once it gets going. So that's going to take some time. So I'm not exactly sure what is the best scenario. I don't think there is a best scenario in this one there. Chris, do you have a sounding shot? I do not on this particular data. I don't have that ability to click them and bring them in. But it's, they're all not great. The shear, the amount of fuel in the Cape, all that's there. So we're all into the entire zone of getting to tornado potential just west of Louisville, and then certainly a high straight line potential as well. All right. Everyone seems like they're in good shape there. I know there's a lot of storm chasers that are probably online right now. They are streaming their coverage of tornadoes everywhere into Missouri. I get that. That's part of their thing. Right now I'm focused on you. All right. I'm worried about you all in Wave Country. I care about Missouri. I care about Illinois, but I care about you all more. No offense, Missouri. But I care about you all more. So I want to make sure you guys are aware right now. You got some time. Again, if you got to run an errand, you got to go to the store real quick, go have some dinner, go take the kids out for some ice cream, let them enjoy some of the holiday weekend. While it's a nice early evening, do that. All right. But once you get past the 8-9 o'clock window, you need to be back home and you need to be paying attention to the weather before you go to bed. Check with us. Make sure to certainly watch the 11 o'clock news tonight for updates on how this is all going to evolve. All right. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. If we start getting more data coming in that this is going to be off track somehow, like we're going to end up with damaging tornadoes entering our area or confidence in a high wind event coming into Louisville, those kind of things, before we get into that mode, before they start to move into our counties, we'll jump on here to streaming and we'll let you know that it's coming. But once it gets into our area and it's on the way, we're going to be in the other studio. We're going to be live on TV. But here's the good news. If you're watching on streaming right now, that's exactly what you're going to see on streaming. It's going to be us in the other room being broadcast here. So it's all the same thing, just different locations for us. But we're going to be watching it. All right. So don't worry too much. Let us do the worrying for you. I just want to make sure everyone's ready, anchor down, pay attention to the trees around you outside, and make sure you're in your safe spot. If you can just sleep in the basement, if you have the ability to do that, you got a couch downstairs and the TV, just kind of chill out in the basement tonight, making it kind of a fun night with the family, and bring all the phone chargers down there and bring the family pet, whether it's a dog or a tortoise. Make sure they're all secure and you'll be in fine shape. All right, guys, I'm going to run and get ready to track this as we head into this evening. And again, we'll jump on if necessary, if things get a little bit more on the ugly side there for at least this evening. I hope that's not the case, but obviously the way it's looking right now, it is likely going to be a busy night for us. Take care of each other, everyone. Unfortunately, I may see you sooner rather than later.